What if I told you that everything you've believed is a complete lie? Forget what we were taught in history class. We're used to thinking that for centuries, trees were seen merely as a soulless resource and raw material for rough planks. But today I'm going to turn your view of the past on its head, because the indigenous peoples of the Americas saw completely different, incredible possibilities in the forests. Imagine this contrast. European colonists, armed with heavy iron axes, mercilessly chopped down centuries-old forests, leaving behind only dead, barren fields and mountains of useless wood chips. To them, nature was merely an obstacle on the path to progress. But the Cherokee artisans approached each tree trunk in a completely different way, with a deep, almost mystical understanding of its unique natural properties and complex internal structure. What they did with wood was sometimes mistaken by Europeans for actual magic. The Native Americans possessed the lost secrets of ancient engineering. They knew how to soften, bend, and preserve wood in such astonishing ways that remained completely beyond the reach of the technically savvy settlers. How did they manage to create perfect structures without machines or chemicals? Spoiler: the answer lies in the forgotten laws of nature itself, and I'll explain this in detail a little later. Be sure to watch this video all the way to the end, and you'll learn the main secret to survival: how tree bark, which seems so ordinary at first glance, saved thousands of lives and served as an impenetrable shield, protecting entire settlements from harsh, deadly winter blizzards. I'm going to reveal the best-kept secret of managing the natural world. The Cherokee Indians didn't just cut down trees for their needs. They knew how to reshape growing trunks. They deliberately bent young oak saplings at a sharp angle toward the ground, using heavy stones and sturdy plant-based ropes. The trunk continued to grow in this bent state, forming a unique landmark amid the dense foliage of the eastern forests. These living signposts served as reliable road signs for travelers for many decades. The process of creating such a marker required immense patience and precise timing based on the season. The craftsmen selected only the most flexible young shoots during the period of active spring sap flow. The tree was securely tied with braided cords to wooden stakes driven into the ground. The top of the trunk was left free so that it could once again reach upward toward the sunlight. Over time, the plant fibers rotted away and disappeared, while the tree permanently retained its unusual shape of a horizontal arrow. The knowledge of how to properly bend an oak without damaging its internal structure was passed down personally by master craftsmen. It was crucial not to damage the bark at the bend to avoid disrupting the flow of nutrients to the upper part of the crown. To protect the trunk from being chafed by the ropes, they used soft padding made of dry grass and moss. The tree slowly adapted to its new position, strengthening the fibers at the point of greatest stress. After a few years, it became so sturdy that an adult could safely sit on the horizontal section. This practice demonstrates a completely different approach to the use of forest resources. Instead of destruction and consumption, the Cherokee chose a path of long-term cooperation with the environment. A single such guide tree could serve several generations of people without requiring any repair or renewal. The root system continued to hold the soil in place, while the leaves reliably provided shade and oxygen. It was an ideal navigation system, fully integrated into the natural ecosystem of a vast continent. Today, rare surviving specimens of these remarkable trees can still be found in the forests. Their massive curved trunks amaze the imagination with their size and unusual geometry. They stand as silent monuments to a bygone era, when humans knew how to coexist with nature. Researchers are carefully recording the coordinates of these trees to preserve the memory of this unique navigation technology. Each of these trees holds within it the history of thousands of steps taken along ancient trails. Understanding these ancient methods compels us to take a fresh look at the history of the continent's exploration. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think about using living trees instead of dead wood in this way? Be sure to leave a detailed comment about this below the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on new and fascinating historical research. Are you ready to learn the truth about ancient shipbuilding? The Cherokee built huge, sturdy boats from solid tree trunks without using iron saws. Their main tool in this complex process was carefully controlled fire. Europeans spent weeks hollowing out a vessel with heavy axes, often splitting the wood along the grain. Native American craftsmen used the power of fire to do the hardest work quickly and flawlessly. This method not only conserved the builder's physical strength, but also significantly improved the properties of the material itself. The charring process made the boat's inner surface incredibly hard and completely resistant to water. The wood fibers were sealed, closing the pores and preventing moisture from penetrating the solid hull. European boats, assembled from planks, constantly leaked and required regular, labor-intensive caulking of the gaps. The Cherokee's solid wood canoes could last for decades without requiring any additional maintenance. The shape of the finished vessel was distinguished by the perfection of its hydrodynamic lines and excellent stability on the water's surface. The thickness of the sides was calculated with remarkable precision to ensure a balance between lightness and high load carrying capacity. The bottom was made thicker to protect against submerged rocks on shallow river rapids. The bow tapered smoothly, allowing the boat to cut through the water silently and smoothly. Such a vessel could safely carry an entire family with all their supplies and belongings. People took turns standing watch by the log, constantly adding small, dry kindling to the right spots. They fanned the flames using special hollow tubes or, conversely, smothered them with damp earth. It was an incredible collective effort, bringing together the technical knowledge and efforts of the entire large community. The use of fire made it possible to build boats of all sizes, from light single-seaters to gigantic cargo platforms. The largest canoes could reach 15 meters in length and accommodate dozens of adults. Their construction was a true celebration for the settlement and was accompanied by solemn community gatherings. Huge logs were transformed into sleek, smooth vessels right before the eyes of the entire village. The settlers could hardly believe that such perfect forms were created without a single metal blade. These canoes became the most important means of transportation across the dense network of rivers on the North American continent. They facilitated trade, the rapid exchange of information, and the mobility of entire vast peoples. The art of building boats using fire has forever gone down in world history as an outstanding feat of engineering. Do you agree that controlled fire proved more effective than the colonists' iron axes? Are you ready to learn how the Native Americans transformed hardwood into soft strands for incredible weaving? The secret, passed down from generation to generation, lies in the flexibility of ordinary white oak. What Europeans used only for rough fences, the Cherokee transformed into elegant and practical works of art. They developed a unique technique for splitting dense wood into the thinnest strips, resembling strong textile ribbons. These smooth wooden strands became the foundation for creating incredibly intricate and durable forest baskets. No European craftsman could understand how hard wood could become so soft and pliable. The process required a deep understanding of the structure of wood fibers and a strict sequence of steps. First, they selected a young straight tree with not a single knot along the entire lower section of its massive trunk. They felled it and stripped away the outer bark, while the inner wood was still as moist as possible. Then the trunk was split lengthwise into several even, long wedges using wooden struts. This stage required the utmost geometric precision so as not to disrupt the natural direction of the internal wood fibers. The finished strips were never used immediately after the thick oak trunk was split. They were carefully smoothed with flat stones, removing the slightest irregularities and roughness from each side of the surface. The wood was then soaked in clean water for several days to restore its maximum natural pliability. The damp strips became so surprisingly soft that they could literally be tied into tight knots. This property made it possible to create baskets with a dense weave that did not let even fine, loose sand escape. The shapes of the items they created were striking in their immense variety and precise functional design for everyday use. The Cherokee wove deep shoulder baskets for harvesting, flat trays for drying seeds, and boxes. Each shape was calculated with mathematical precision to ensure an even distribution of pressure across all the woven walls. The bottom was usually made double-layered and reinforced with thicker wooden slats for reliable protection against wear. Such baskets served faithfully for decades, becoming only more beautiful, darker, and even stronger over time. The technique of weaving with split hardwood was so perfected that it could not be improved upon. Europeans who encountered these items eagerly purchased them for their own regular, everyday use. They quickly realized that heavy, nailed-together boxes were no match for the lightweight and extremely durable Native American baskets. Even after many centuries, this incredible technique remains the highest standard of craftsmanship in working with natural resources. It clearly demonstrates the superiority of deep ecological knowledge over brute mechanical force and metal tools. Each basket created in this way reliably preserved the warmth of the skilled craftsman's hands and the memory of the forest itself. The ability to see the delicate, flexible strands within a hard, massive tree trunk requires a unique philosophical perspective on the world. This ancient craft is still alive today and is being passed down with incredible care to new generations of talented Native American artisans. Please like this video if you were impressed by this ancient, refined technique for working with dense wood. Your support helps us discover and share even more amazing historical facts about technology. Something you've never seen before will turn your understanding of ancient mechanical culinary technologies upside down. When Europeans thought of reliable grain milling, they envisioned complex, massive millstones and windmills. Indigenous people solved this complex production challenge using a single, massive piece of hardwood. They crafted enormous mortars from solid tree trunks that served many generations without a single break. This incredibly efficient system for processing solid food required neither iron parts nor complex, regular maintenance. An equally important central component of this mechanism was the pestle itself, made from the branches of particularly hard trees. Hickory was most commonly used for this purpose, as its wood was justly renowned for its impact resistance and great weight. The pestle was made double-sided, with massive flared thickening at both ends and a comfortable narrow handle in the middle. This powerful tool was up to 1.5 meters long, allowing the user to work with a perfectly straight back. Its impressive weight was carefully calculated so that the force of gravity would assist with every powerful strike. Working with a massive wooden mortar was a true art of maintaining rhythm and breathing deeply and correctly. The long process of crushing hard corn kernels required considerable physical effort and incredible endurance. Often, two people would work together on a single mortar, in unison and taking turns bringing their heavy wooden pestles down. Their rhythmic movements resembled a beautiful dance, accompanied by the deep, loud thud of hard wood striking wood. This sound carried far and wide throughout the large settlement, signaling the imminent joy of preparing fresh food. An important advantage of the wooden mortar over stone millstones was the complete absence of stone dust in the flour. The stone grinding mechanisms used by European colonists inevitably wore down over time, leaving dangerous fine abrasive particles in the finished product. This led to very rapid tooth wear and serious health problems among entire large European settlements. The Cherokee's wooden cooking tools left absolutely no dangerous stone impurities in the finished cornmeal. The hard wood was only slightly polished by constant friction, becoming smoother with each passing year. European settlers, who found themselves unexpectedly without their usual equipment, often adopted this ingenious Native American technology. They quickly learned from experience that, in the wild, this was the most reliable way to produce high-quality flour. For many colonists, the heavy wooden mortar became a symbol of survival on the harsh frontier of uncharted lands. It clearly demonstrated that the proper use of natural forest resources was more important than complex imported metal mechanisms. Indigenous peoples gave the world a technology that saved thousands of lives from terrible starvation during snowy winters. Wood once again demonstrated its remarkable versatility, replacing heavy stone and complex metal. A well-thought-out engineering design and the right choice of hardwood made this cooking tool practically indestructible. How hard do you think it was to swing such a massive wooden pestle for several long hours at a time? In the next chapter, you'll learn how the thin, light bark of giant trees was transformed into reliable armor against the elements. Are you ready to delve into the secrets of ancient architecture and forgotten eco-friendly construction? In the harsh conditions of the dense eastern forests and cold winters, a reliable, warm shelter was an absolute necessity for survival. Native American peoples developed a unique, highly efficient system for cladding buildings using the thick bark of massive old trees. Unlike the bulky European log cabins, their spacious dwellings consisted of lightweight frames covered with natural panels. This ingenious technology provided excellent thermal insulation and completely reliable protection from heavy autumn rains and snow. The tree bark functioned like modern, expensive siding, only it was completely eco-friendly, breathable, and absolutely free. The complex process of harvesting this material required a deep, fundamental understanding of forest cycles and the biology of large plants. The bark was carefully stripped only in the spring or early summer, when the maximum amount of sap was circulating in the massive trunks. At this time, A thick layer of bark could be very easily separated from the inner wood in huge, solid, even sheets. Craftsmen used special bone or polished wooden levers to avoid accidentally damaging this valuable, fragile building material. The bark of the giant elm, the mighty chestnut, and the yellow poplar was in the highest demand due to its exceptional natural strength. The unique thermal insulation properties of this natural cladding far surpassed the colonists' rough, drafty plank walls. The thick, porous structure of the bark contained millions of microscopic air pockets that excellently retained precious heat. In winter, the interior of these bark-clad houses remained at a very comfortable above-freezing temperature, even with only a minimal fire in the central hearth. During hot summers, the bark reliably shielded the interior from the scorching sun, creating a pleasant and refreshing coolness. It was truly an ideal passive climate control system, conceived and implemented by nature itself. For large roofs, the same material was always used, but laid even more tightly and at a steep angle. The roof's pitch was calculated so that snow would not linger on the surface at all and would slide down easily. Additional long support poles were carefully laid on top of the bark layer to protect the sturdy roof from hurricane-force winds. Smoke from the hearth escaped freely and safely through a special ventilation opening at the very center of the high roof. A properly assembled bark roof could serve reliably for more than 10 years without any need for major repairs. Using lightweight bark also offered enormous logistical advantages over heavy, solid-hewn logs. Harvesting these panels did not require the complete destructive clearing of the forest. Often, the tree continued to live and quickly regenerated. The dried sheets themselves were very light, allowing them to be carried over great distances by just a few people. If a family needed to move, they could easily remove the siding from their house and simply take it with them to their new location. The frame was left behind, while the valuable dried bark continued to serve its owners reliably for many years. The bark served not only as a building material for houses, but was also actively used to create durable containers. It was masterfully folded into lightweight baskets for harvesting crops, temporary buckets for water, and molds for maple sugar. Birch bark was widely used to make completely airtight containers in which bulk goods were stored for many months. This unique material was truly ubiquitous and absolutely indispensable in the complex daily lives of forest tribes. It served as a substitute for plastic, metal, and cardboard, materials we've all become so accustomed to today. The tree generously shared its durable protective bark, helping people survive comfortably in complete harmony with nature. The Native Americans always treated this forest resource with the utmost respect, never cutting down more than was absolutely necessary. This centuries-old practice of mindful consumption has allowed the dense forest to remain in their pristine state for millennia. The widespread use of bark clearly demonstrates a profound understanding of the principles of eco-friendly and renewable mass construction. The ancient wisdom of these outstanding architects deserves the most careful and respectful study in the modern world. Guess what happened next in the development of the unique, large-scale defensive architecture of the Native Americans? When we think of indigenous peoples, we often mistakenly picture only open plains and small, mobile camps. However, in the dense eastern forests, the Cherokee built massive defensive structures made entirely of heavy timber. These gigantic, impregnable wooden palisades required millions of labor hours and a tremendous depth of engineering knowledge. They reliably protected entire vast cities, whose layouts surpassed those of many large European settlements of the time. The foundation of such a powerful fortress was a very tall fence made of thick vertical logs set closely together. The logs were sharply tapered at their upper ends, forming an impenetrable solid wall several meters high. Preparing such a vast quantity of timber without iron axes was a truly astonishing feat of collective hard work. Trees were felled using controlled burning and stone tools, stripped of their branches, and transported to the massive construction site. Thousands of massive, heavy posts were driven incredibly deep into the ground to ensure maximum stability for the entire structure. Wood played a key role not only in defense, but also in organizing the vast space within the walls. Huge, thick posts served as sturdy supports for large, spacious public buildings where tribal councils gathered. These monumental grand structures could easily accommodate hundreds of people at once, under a single sturdy wooden roof. In the very center of the settlement, a tall, smooth wooden pole was often erected, serving as the focal point for important public events. Wood was the absolute cornerstone of all social and political life in these large, highly organized communities. Techniques for constructing earthen and monumental wooden fortifications were constantly refined over many long centuries. Experienced builders always took the terrain into account, skillfully positioning fortresses on high hills or along the steep bends of rivers. The wooden walls blended seamlessly into the natural landscape, becoming its logical and formidable extension. Over time, old rotten logs were replaced with new ones, which required maintaining a constant supply of high-quality timber. This never-ending work united the entire large settlement, fostering a spirit of mutual aid and immense collective responsibility. The palisades served not only as military defenses, but also as an excellent barrier against the unpredictable, harsh wilderness. The dense walls reliably prevented predators from entering and protected the harvested crops from destruction. In addition, the massive wall created a unique, warm microclimate inside the settlement, blocking the cold northern winter winds. Life behind such a high wall was peaceful, well-ordered, and protected from most external threats. The wall gave people a sense of absolute security in the midst of the endless, dark, and very harsh eastern forest. Today, only barely visible traces deep in the ground remain of these majestic, large-scale structures. Archaeologists find dark, circular patches of soil in the places where massive wooden support posts once stood. These unique discoveries make it possible to reconstruct the exact layouts of ancient cities and objectively assess the true scale of the construction. The study of these earthen remains completely transforms our modern understanding of the pre-colonial history of this great continent. These massive ancient wooden structures prove that a highly developed and powerful engineering culture once flourished here. Wood served as a solid foundation for safety and the basis of unique urban planning for many civilizations. The ability to organize thousands of people to erect endless walls inspires the deepest admiration. How long do you think it took to build one such enormous wooden fortress? In the next chapter, we'll discuss in detail how choosing the right firewood protected homes from suffocating smoke. Find out why a bright bonfire doesn't always give away your hidden presence in a dark forest. In a world where open fire was the only source of heat, choosing the right wood was a matter of survival. The Cherokee Indians possessed an astonishing encyclopedic knowledge of the burning properties of every tree species in the vast forest. They knew exactly which trees produced intense heat, which burned for a long time, and which emitted the least amount of smoke. Completely different types of firewood were used for entirely different purposes, from cooking to heating large enclosed spaces. This complex and highly precise classification of wood was passed down by word of mouth and formed the foundation of forest life. Preparing delicious food also required a very specific approach to controlling the temperature and aroma of the fire. The wood of certain trees could easily spoil the taste of food, imparting a strong bitterness or a resinous aftertaste. Therefore, for long-term smoking of food supplies, only slightly sweet-tasting wood species were used, such as fragrant apple or cherry. These imparted a magnificent, rich aroma to the food and greatly helped it keep much longer in warm climates. Properly selected, thick smoke served as an ideal, powerful natural preservative and a superb natural flavoring agent. Quickly kindling a fire was a distinct art in itself, requiring the use of special softwoods. Very dry cedar and pine would burst into flames instantly at the slightest spark, quickly reaching the high temperature needed for kindling. Their porous, spongy structure contained a lot of resin, which acted as an excellent natural flammable liquid for kindling. The Native Americans always carried bundles of such dry, resinous twigs with them in airtight, neat birch bark pouches. This fully ensured the ability to quickly build a life-saving, bright fire in absolutely any inclement weather. The daily gathering and preparation of dry firewood was a continuous process involving the entire large settlement. Healthy, living trees were never cut down simply to be pointlessly thrown into a blazing fire. They always used dead wood, tree trunks that had fallen after storms, and very thick broken branches. This sensible forest cleanup reliably prevented the spread of severe wildfires during the dry months. Nature itself generously provided the ideal fuel. One simply had to know how to find it and prepare it properly. The lengthy drying process for firewood was carried out according to very strict rules to ensure maximum combustion efficiency. The wood was neatly stacked in special, level wood piles under shelters, leaving space for fresh air to circulate. Logs of different densities were stored strictly separately to ensure quick access to the right type of high-quality fuel at all times. Damp firewood was considered a sign of poor housekeeping, as it produced more acrid smoke than useful heat. Only perfectly dry, well-seasoned wood could fully unleash its immense energy potential. European settlers initially paid no attention whatsoever to the nuances of selecting wood for the hearth. They threw anything and everything into the hot stove, often suffering from heavy smoke in their homes and chimneys that burned through quickly. Only over time did they begin to actively adopt the Native American practice of carefully sorting fuel according to its natural density. Knowledge of the unique properties of ash, oak, and maple became the foundation for the survival of the first settlers during the harsh, long winter. A deep respect for fire and wood became a common language uniting different cultures across the vast continent. The science of firewood was one of the most important and complex disciplines in the upbringing of every young person. The ability to quickly build the right kind of fire often determined the difference between comfort and mortal danger. This fundamental knowledge attests to the deep empirical scientific foundation that indigenous peoples had mastered to perfection. They were truly outstanding chemists and physicists of their time, using the endless forest as a vast laboratory. For them, wood was not merely a piece of fuel, but the key to harnessing one of nature's most vital elements. The vast forest provided indigenous peoples not only with building materials and warmth, but also with an incredible palette of colors. The Cherokee had mastered the art of extracting durable pigments from various parts of trees, especially from the bark and roots. This deep knowledge allowed them to dye fabrics, wooden objects, and ribbons in stunningly rich, vibrant colors. They created a veritable large-scale chemical industry based entirely on abundant, renewable plant resources. The secrets to achieving absolutely perfect shades were kept strictly confidential and passed down only to the most select artisans. One of the most popular and incredibly sought-after dyes was a deep and very elegant black. To produce it, they used black walnut bark, which contained a vast amount of potent natural tannins. The bark was ground up, soaked in water, and boiled for a very long time in large vats until a thick, dark decoction was obtained. Fabric or wooden strips were carefully immersed in this boiling solution and left there for several long hours. The resulting color was incredibly durable. It did not fade at all in bright sunlight and was not washed away by fast-flowing river water. Soft browns and warm, earthy tones were the most readily available, as they could be obtained from any type of oak. Common oak yielded a wide range of shades, from light ochre to deep chocolate brown, depending on the boiling process. These subdued colors were ideal for creating durable, everyday items, an excellent, inconspicuous camouflage in the forest. They blended perfectly with the surrounding nature, making a person invisible among the autumn leaves and brown tree trunks. Oak once again proved its immense versatility, providing people with both timber and reliable dye. The complex dyeing process always required the use of special substances, called mordants, to fix the pigment. Native American chemists used natural alum, found in large quantities in certain types of moss and specific soils. Treating the materials with a strong mordant before immersing them in the dye solution ensured that the color would bond permanently with the fibers. Experienced European dyers were amazed by the durability of Native American dyes, which surpassed many of the finest colonial counterparts. This complex and incredible technology vividly demonstrated a profound understanding of complex chemical reactions at the molecular level. The masters were able to masterfully blend various plant decoctions, creating entirely new and absolutely unique shades. By combining a hot yellow sumac decoction with blue extracts from other plants, they achieved stunning, vibrant green colors. This required very precise adherence to proportions and vast, years-long practical experience working with natural reagents. Mistakes in this lengthy process were incredibly costly, as gathering and preparing the materials took weeks. Therefore, the crucial task of dyeing was entrusted only to the most experienced and respected adult members of the large forest community. The harvesting of these valuable dyes was always carried out in strict accordance with rules designed to preserve the ecological balance of the vast forest. Plant roots were dug up very carefully so as not to destroy the shrub, leaving part of the root system deep in the ground. Bark was stripped off in narrow vertical strips only, allowing the tree to quickly heal its wounds and continue growing. This wise principle of sustainable resource use ensured an endless, reliable supply of valuable, vibrant pigments. The forest gladly shared its colors with those who treated it with due respect. Studying these ancient methods reveals a striking picture of the development of Native American botany and applied chemistry. The mighty trees were veritable factories of useful chemical substances, the workings of which the Native Americans understood perfectly. This broad natural palette allowed them to infuse every detail of their daily lives with astonishing beauty and meaning. The tradition of extracting pigments from wood lives on to this day, delighting contemporary artists and art connoisseurs alike. It constantly reminds us that true pristine beauty is always born in complete harmony with nature. Wood possesses yet another unique resource that resourceful indigenous peoples learned to use to their greatest advantage. The sticky resin of coniferous trees, especially pine, became a powerful base for creating a versatile adhesive and waterproofing agent. Europeans used the sticky resin mainly for shipbuilding, but Native Americans found hundreds of uses for it in everyday life. This natural polymer made it possible to bond a wide variety of materials, from solid stone to wood, with incredible reliability. It became the most important chemical binding agent for creating a multitude of complex, reliable, and multi-part tools. The labor-intensive process of harvesting the resin required incredible precision and knowledge of the seasonal cycles of sap flow in coniferous trees. Experienced craftsmen made special wedge-shaped incisions in the trunks of pine trees, directing the thick sap into wooden containers. This gentle process caused absolutely no harm to mature trees, allowing this valuable resource to be harvested for many years. The collected thick raw resin was too soft to be used immediately as a truly durable adhesive. It had to undergo a very complex heat treatment with the addition of secret dry natural ingredients. To create an ultra-strong adhesive, the raw liquid resin was heated for a very long time over a slow, low flame until it boiled. Carefully ground charcoal was added to the boiling hot mixture, acting as a powerful binding agent. The charcoal made the final product much less brittle after it hardened and gave it its characteristic very deep black color. Sometimes, strong plant fibers, dried and ground into a fine powder, were added to the mixture to further reinforce the structure. This dark composite mixture bears an incredible resemblance in its properties to modern industrial-grade epoxy resins. The process of cooking the glue required constant, rhythmic stirring and very strict control over the temperature of the fire. If the liquid resin was overheated, it lost its remarkable adhesive properties and became excessively brittle. The properly prepared mixture was gathered at the ends of smooth wooden sticks for the most convenient storage. In this solid, set form, the adhesive could be stored for years without losing any of its chemical properties. To use it, one simply had to heat the sticks slightly over hot coals until the thick mass softened. This remarkable thermoplastic adhesive was used in the manufacture of virtually all complex composite tools. With its help, sharp stone points were attached incredibly securely to perfectly straight, long wooden shafts. After applying the hot adhesive, the joint was further wrapped with thin, strong, damp plant fibers. When the black adhesive cooled completely and the fibers tightened, the structure became monolithic and astonishingly strong. Such a joint could only be broken by applying very intense, targeted heat to the finished tool. In traditional medicine, pure pine resin was widely used as a powerful antiseptic for treating severe injuries. It was applied to deep cuts and scrapes, creating an airtight protective film that prevented infection. The powerful natural antibacterial properties of pine needles were excellent at preventing inflammation and accelerating the healing process. Experienced Native American healers fully understood this hidden power of trees and actively applied it in practice. The forest healed people with its resinous sap, just as it healed its own broken, thick branches. The use of strong resin also made it easy to repair broken items, extending their service life for many years. A cracked wooden bowl or a split, heavy mortar could be quickly restored by pouring hot glue into the crack. Once the resin had completely hardened and the item had been thoroughly sanded, it became almost as durable as a brand new one. This saved an enormous amount of time and resources, completely eliminating the need to carve new items from scratch. A culture of constant repair and an incredibly careful attitude toward possessions formed the foundation of a sustainable forest way of life. When settlers first encountered this versatile material, they were absolutely amazed by its incredible strength. They began actively and eagerly trading their metal items for ready-made Native American resin glue sticks. The Europeans very quickly adopted the technique of adding charcoal to the resin to repair their own tools. This remarkable forest chemistry became one of the most important innovations adopted at the intersection of two completely different cultures. The natural forest polymer easily surpassed many of the artificial adhesive alternatives available to people during those difficult times. Every drop of sticky pine resin held immense engineering potential for a skilled and talented craftsman. The ability to transform sticky tree sap into a durable solid required profound knowledge of ancient material science. This incredible technology proves that indigenous peoples made the most efficient use of every tiny part of the tree. They left no waste behind, finding the perfect use for bark, roots, trunks, and sap. For them, the tree was the most generous provider of absolutely all the chemical elements necessary for a comfortable life. Safely preserving the enormous harvest they gathered was no less important a task than the arduous daily work of farming itself. To fully protect their vital corn reserves from moisture, the Cherokee built unique storage structures. These wooden granaries, known as corn cribs, represented the absolute pinnacle of practical architecture. They differed radically from massive European granaries in their incredible lightness, ventilation, and method of construction. A properly designed tall storage structure fully ensured that the tribe would successfully survive even the longest winter. The main unique structural feature of these structures was their elevation high above the ground. The granary rested securely on 4 or 6 massive wooden posts driven deep into the forest soil. These smooth supports could easily reach a height of 2 meters, creating an insurmountable barrier for rodents. Wide, flat stones were often placed on top of each wooden post to serve as an additional shield. This simple and incredibly reliable gravity-based defense worked flawlessly, keeping the grain completely safe. The walls of the suspended cradle itself were constructed using a lightweight wooden lattice, or a very loosely fitted log structure. Skilled craftsmen used thin, straight logs, laying them with small, precisely measured gaps between them. This well-thought-out design ensured consistently excellent ventilation throughout the entire volume of heavy ears stored inside. Air circulated freely through the gaps, completely preventing the formation of dangerous mold on damp days. The corn continued to dry slowly, right in the granary, reaching the absolutely ideal state for long-term preservation. Inside the spacious storage facility, the space was skillfully divided into special sections for the separate storage of different seed varieties. The very best seed corn for future plantings was always stored strictly separate from grain intended for food. This incredibly careful treatment of the seed stock was the main guarantee of survival for future generations of farmers. Sometimes, special hanging shelves were installed inside for drying beans, pumpkins, and other useful crops. The granary quickly turned into a veritable giant wooden safe, reliably safeguarding the wealth of the large settlement. The entrance to the granary was a small, neat door, to which a light, portable ladder was always placed. The wooden ladder was completely removed each time after use, to block the only way into the structure. The door itself closed very tightly and was secured with complex wooden bolts that were difficult for animals to open. The unusual appearance of these wooden structures, seemingly floating above the ground, greatly astonished the first European explorers. They very quickly recognized the remarkable effectiveness of such a ventilated design for storing any kind of food. For the construction of these granaries, wood with natural resistance to moisture was always carefully selected. Red aromatic cedar and black walnut were the ideal choices due to their unique essential oils. The strong scent of this wood naturally repelled any pests, creating an additional, powerful protective barrier. Using the right material ensured that the storage structure would last for many decades without needing repairs. Cherokee engineers knew full well that cutting corners on wood could cost an entire large settlement its lives. The construction of a new, large granary was a very important community event, timed to coincide with the harvest festival. Strong men were responsible for preparing the heavy posts and cutting the wall timbers, while women prepared the bark for the high roof. This grand collaborative effort strengthened social bonds and underscored the immense importance of food resources. When the granary was filled to the brim with golden ears of corn, the entire community felt an incredible sense of confidence in the future. A full, wooden, ventilated granary was the absolute best indicator of the prosperity of the entire Native American clan. Subsequently, this ingenious technology was fully adopted by American farmers across the vast continent. The famous ventilated corn cribs, which can still be seen on farms today, have Native American roots. The colonists simply replaced the hidden wooden latches with metal nails, while fully preserving the principle of air circulation. This became yet another striking example of how indigenous peoples taught settlers how to properly survive on the land. The incredible wooden architecture of the Native Americans forever and completely transformed agricultural practices in America. In the skilled hands of highly experienced craftsmen, wood became an absolutely reliable safe for preserving human life itself. The unique, well-thought-out design of these tall granaries reflected an incredibly deep understanding of the laws of physics governing the environment. They reliably protected the harvest from water, soil, and air, creating absolutely ideal conditions for long-term storage. These suspended wooden storage structures, seemingly floating in the air, are a truly beautiful conclusion to our long story about forest technologies. The wise tree generously provided people with tools, transportation, protection, warmth, and confidence in a prosperous future. We have seen that the Native American artisans' relationship with wood was not one of mere consumption, but one of deep respect and scientific understanding. They created the most complex structures and chemical compounds using only the resources provided by the forest. This philosophy of sustainable and intelligent consumption allowed them to thrive for many millennia. Studying these forgotten technologies helps us understand just how advanced the engineering of the continent's indigenous peoples was. What do you think? Which of these ancient woodworking methods could be useful in modern construction? Suggest topics for future videos you'd like to see on our channel in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe.